Share, like, comment, and subscribe.
Every day, millions of tons of cargo cross the world's oceans. Steel, electronics, clothing, packed into shipping containers, riding the waves to your local store shelves. But when these massive ships reach their destination ports, something interesting happens. They arrive stacked high with products we want to buy, but when they turn around to go home, many of these ships leave mostly empty. Politicians and news anchors have a specific name for this. They call it a trade deficit. And the way they talk about it, you would think it was a giant scoreboard where our country is on a disastrous losing streak. Let's think about this differently. Every week, you run a trade deficit with your local grocery store. You go in, you buy milk, bread, and eggs, and you don't sell the grocery store a single thing in return. You don't panic about that because it's not a scoreboard. A national trade deficit works the same way. It is simply a neutral measurement showing that, over a specific period of time, a country bought more physical goods from the rest of the world than it sold to them. This diagram illustrates how that measurement works. Exports are the goods a country makes and sells abroad. Imports are the goods a country buys from other nations. When the total value of imports exceeds exports, you have a trade deficit. The word deficit sounds like a weakness, but the reality is often different. Large trade deficits happen precisely because a country's economy is exceptionally strong. When citizens have good jobs and extra money to spend, they buy more things, including things from overseas. On top of that, a booming economy usually creates a very strong currency. That highly valued currency gives people incredible purchasing power, making foreign products relatively cheap to buy. Instead of a nation being economically robbed, a high trade deficit often reflects a wealthy population that has the disposable income to enjoy the world's products. Which brings us to a natural question. If a trade deficit is just a sign that citizens have the wealth to buy affordable global goods, why does it make people so angry? Because importing all those cheap goods has a real cost at home. When consumers choose to buy less expensive products made overseas, local factories that produce those same goods cannot compete on price. Eventually, those local factories are forced to close their doors. Now, the economy doesn't stop working, it adapts. The country often transitions away from basic factory work and shifts its focus toward highly specialized advanced manufacturing, or service industries like finance and technology. This creates a brutal economic trade-off. The general public gets a massive benefit by paying less for televisions, clothing, and cars. But the manufacturing workers who made those items locally lose their livelihoods entirely. The benefits of global trade are practically invisible, spread out in the form of savings across hundreds of millions of consumers. But the pain of a trade deficit is highly concentrated and deeply visible in specific industrial towns across the country. When a nation sends billions of dollars overseas to buy all that imported cargo, where does that money actually go? Those dollars don't just vanish. They land directly in the bank accounts of foreign sellers and international corporations. This animation shows the other half of global trade, capital flows. Capital flows are the movement of money across borders for the purpose of investment. Notice how the physical goods move in one direction, while the currency flows in the opposite direction. But the foreign seller runs into a problem. They cannot easily spend those foreign dollars in their own local towns to pay their workers or buy their own groceries. Because they cannot spend the currency locally, foreign entities must reinvest those dollars back into the country that originally spent them. That returning mountain of cash goes directly into buying government bonds, purchasing real estate, and funding domestic businesses. This continuous loop of reinvestment explains how massive economies can run trade deficits year after year for decades without running out of money. If you look at the complete transaction, the country running the deficit gets to keep the physical imported cargo, and it gets its money back in the form of financial investment. A trade deficit signals that a nation is choosing to consume foreign goods while simultaneously attracting foreign capital to its shores. It is half of a global equation where consumption and investment balance each other out.
Share, like, comment, and subscribe.